expanding universe theory. And according to this theory, especially later it was known as Big Bang theory, which was propounded by a Belgian priest, George Lemaitre. He was a priest. He was a physicist, astrophysicist, astronomer too, from Belgium. Belgian astronomer. He propounded Big Bang theory. He was having certain assumptions, and assumptions are there was nothing in the beginning. There was nothing. And everything was concentrated in a very tiny ball, which he named singularity. Okay? There was no base of this assumption, and no one was there to see that tiny ball. So it's a kind of hypothesis. But once your hypothesis is going to be supported by certain evidence, then it becomes theory. And the evidence are going to be scientific and based on rational ground. These are scientific phenomena which is going to occur. And we also proved it. Yes, the theory, the hypothesis which is mentioned in Big Bang theory will be right. And this is the theory which is close to the reality. Big Bang theory. So according to this theory, he said there was nothing. There was nothing. And everything was confined within a tiny ball. Confined within a tiny ball. And he named it singularity. That he named singularity. There was nothing. There was no matter. There was no electron, proton, atoms. There was no light. Even light was not there. So if you see the photograph of Big Bang theory, you will find that it has been given a bang and there is a light. So might be you will be asked this question, was there light after Big Bang? Answer is no. Why? Because light is made up of certain particle which is called as photon. And there was nothing, so how come photon would be there? So you have a very general question, sir, why on entire internet this Big Bang theory photograph has been given like that? So just to simulate, just to make your mind to understand, yes, there was an explosion and every explosion follows production of light. Just to simulate that it was, otherwise technically it is wrong. Are you getting my point? If light was not there, so how come light produced at the time of explosion? Because light has to be formed, na? For that photon has to be formed first. So all the internet figure, technically it is wrong. So maybe you will be asked this question, this figure shows light. Is that light? Answer is no. There was no light. There was nothing and everything was confined within a small ball of few centimeter diameter and he named it singularity. This singularity has certain property. What was those property? Within a tiny ball, there is infinite gravity, infinite temperature, infinite density, within a tiny volume. Within a tiny volume. This was what? Singularity. Fine. Singularity. Within a tiny volume, you happen to have infinite density, infinite temperature. And due to infinite density, there is infinite gravity. It was confined in a tiny volume. And one day, there was an explosion. And this explosion have taken place almost 13.7 billion years ago. There was an explosion. And as you all have seen that after explosion, what happened? Everything start expanding. An expansion started. Initially, the speed of the expansion was very high, but slowly later it get slower down. Within fraction of second after explosion, this explosion is basically called as Big Bang. This explosion is termed as Big Bang. And just after explosion, some energy was released, and some energy converted into mass. Some energy converted into mass. You all have this idea, energy can be converted into mass and mass can be converted into energy. And most of you knows that Einstein have given this equation E is equal to mc square, right? E is equal to mc square. This is the equation that give you the relationship between energy and mass. Where E is what? Energy. Very good. M is mass and C represent velocity of light. Velocity of light. That happened to be the fastest moving thing in our universe. 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. This is the velocity of light. So first there was expansion, but if you ask to me, sir, what was the reason of expansion? I can't say anything because it is not mentioned over there. So these were the assumptions. Fine. Kaisa hua hoga? There was explosion, and explosion followed with expansion, and within fraction of second, energy converted into mass. And when energy converted into mass, what was formed was the starting point. When energy converted into mass, God particles were created. God particles. Fine. The name God particle is also having story. Those who have this physics, particle physics, they know this story, God particle. And who gave this theory that energy converted into mass and God particles were formed? Theoretically, it was given by Peter Higgs. And that's why this is called as, this particle is called as Higgs boson. Higgs boson. One of the Indian scientists' name is also here. Higgs boson, this God particle were formed. These God particle responsible for formation of other particles, fundamental particle. Higgs boson, Peter Higgs. Don't means I will dictate everything. Just understand first, make all the figure, then we will go for dictation. First understand. So understanding is more important. I will make everything in writing, don't worry. Dictation will also go on. Peter Higgs. And he gave this theory in 1960s, and in 2012 he was rewarded. 2012 he was rewarded Nobel Prize of Physics. After there is an experiment, you all have this idea, Large Hadron Collider experiment that is going on in France-Switzerland border, underground experiment. So LHC, these will be taught in your science and technology. That's why I'm just touching it and telling you. Large Hadron Collider experiment. This experiment proved that yes, if we create a condition just like the Big Bang, then the first particle that can be formed will be what? God particle. And this experimental proof have proved this theory as well as Peter Higgs theory is first particle which was formed after Big Bang was God particle. Fine. And if you go into the story of this naming of God particle, you will find that when this theory was given and Peter Higgs went to the publisher, I have a paper to publish and that speaks about creation of universe, and that is not because God, it is because of this particle. So initially the name was given was anti-God particle. Are you getting my point? So initially the name of the God particle was anti-God particle in Peter Higgs' original paper. Then the publisher get annoyed. How dare to talk like that? God have created all these things. Peter Higgs means he was with mind, so he understand कि लड़ने से कोई फायदा है नहीं. So what to do? And the publisher understanding of creation was also marvelous. He said, tell me who exploded that tiny ball. Peter Higgs was having no option. Who exploded that? He said, I don't know. That's why you don't know who is behind this creation. It is the God. Correct it. Otherwise, I will ensure that your paper is not going to be published, at least in this entire region. So what to do? Name was changed. God particle. So the name given God particle. At that very time, one book was also published in which this debate was going on, creation of by God or anti-God theory were going on. So these were the part and parcel. But to understand what exactly this God particle, they were the first particle that have imparted mass to other subatomic particle. Okay. Just after the explosion, the concept of time and space was started. This is the initial point from where the time started and space started.